So it looks like Xbox and PlayStation may be coming to an agreement when it comes to the Activision Blizzard deal. So as we know, the battle between Microsoft and Sony and Xbox and PlayStation surrounding the Activision Blizzard deal mainly has to do with Call of Duty. There are so many things involved with this deal. There are so many IPs at Activision Blizzard that would become Xbox first-party IPs and Xbox first-party studios, but Call of Duty is by far the game that is making the most amount of money for PlayStation. We've seen the numbers. We see how much money PlayStation makes from Call of Duty every single year. It makes them the most amount of money, and they are Activision's biggest customer. And Call of Duty in general is such a big game that in a video I talked about last week, they make more money with Call of Duty in one quarter than any other game at Activision Blizzard throughout the entire year. And just so people don't think I'm crazy and making this up, this is what I saw last week, this chart here in terms of the Activision Blizzard revenue split in terms of their different segments. You can see King, Blizzard, and Activision. And you can see here in Q4, when Call of Duty actually releases, it says Call of Duty is so powerful that Activision is able to surpass 3/4 of consistent revenues from King's mobile titles. Therefore, it is unnecessarily correct to make a blanket statement that King makes more than Activision. The reason I bring that up is because that is the basis of this entire argument of trying to block this deal. It's Call of Duty. And although I don't believe in any way if this deal goes through, the PlayStation is just going to fail, I think the stuff that the PlayStation has presented as to why they want to block this deal, a lot of the stuff is extremely absurd, pretty much just projecting the stuff that they have done that has been negative to the consumers onto Xbox and saying, hey, Xbox is going to do the same things, which we have absolutely no proof that that is going to occur. I can understand why there is a lot of focus on the Call of Duty franchise from a PlayStation perspective. And because of that, there has been talks with Call of Duty. What are they going to do with this game? Are there concessions that are going to have to be made for Call of Duty? We heard that Xbox offered a 10-year deal to keep the game on the platform, and that seemingly wasn't good enough at the time as Sony refused to comment on that. People are saying that they need to make an deal that keeps Call of Duty on PlayStation forever, which is just completely unrealistic. I don't think that is going to happen. It doesn't really make any sense because who knows what's going to happen to Call of Duty in 20 years and 30 years. I'm sure it'll still be around, but if you make a deal for a game like that, it's like you're guaranteeing that Call of Duty is going to be around forever and that nothing is going to change in the market ever for the franchise and for the company that owns the game. But now we have this report here from Seeking Alpha. It says FTC staff recommendation on Activision sale to Microsoft expected by mid-December. And they say here, a staff recommendation by the Federal Trade Commission on Microsoft's planned $69 billion purchase of Activision is set to be expected by mid-December. The FTC is then expected to make a decision in January, according to a deal reporter item, which cited sources familiar. Microsoft is said to be working to give assurance to Sony that it will allow Activision's games to be played on the PlayStation console and held meetings to discuss terms with Sony over the weekend. And they're sitting down now. They are going over what has to be done in order to get this deal to go through. I actually think that is a good thing. I think that these companies do need to keep some sort of positive rapport between them, so it's not just a place where each company is doing things to try to hurt the other company, because that at the end of the day isn't going to be good for gamers. What's good for gamers is the fact that Xbox is back and they're competing, which they weren't last generation, meaning that we are getting great games really no matter where you play. But I do hope whatever they talked about with these meetings over the weekend, that it does include just telling Sony, hey, these games, you can keep them on your platform. We don't care. We make tons of money off of you. I'm sure they didn't say that to them, but I'm sure Sony knows how much money that these Activision titles make. But they tell them these games are staying on Xbox Game Pass, because from a gamer's perspective, from a consumer's perspective, that's the reason why this deal is exciting. Somebody who plays mostly on Xbox, I play multi-platform. Like I just played God of War. I play on my Steam Deck all the time, play retro games. But Xbox has my primary platform, Game Pass as my favorite service right now. Having these games on Xbox Game Pass is what has me excited for a gamer. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be extremely disappointed and honestly couldn't really care too much about this deal anymore. I would rather Xbox go out and purchase developers, purchase companies that they can guarantee that the games are coming onto Xbox Game Pass. Again, only if that is one of the concessions that they will have to make. But I honestly don't really see that happening. And this article here comes after an update from Politico, which we saw last week, that they reported that the FTC is likely to file an antitrust lawsuit to block the Activision deal. And again, like I said, Microsoft is likely to offer concessions to the European Union, and one of those concessions that we already heard about was a 10-year licensing deal with Sony. And this Dealer Reporter story about this deal that they potentially have struck, or that they're in meetings talking about potentially what they can do to get this deal to go through, comes after an FTC calendar item from late Tuesday indicating that a closed-door commission meeting at the agency is scheduled for next Thursday. So there's probably a lot more information coming soon when it comes to this deal from the FTC, them making some sort of decision by mid-December and then their final decision by January. We are getting really close to a massive decision that's going to be made for this deal, and whether it's going to be passing or not, and whether, if it does pass, are there going to be major concessions. But that's it for me, guys. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think they discussed in that meeting, and what do you think is going to happen? What concessions do you think Xbox is going to make to get this deal to go through? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.
We'll be right back.